Welcome back to our channel. A quick recap of another shocking day. Again, another bloodbath in our player picks. We stick with stats, but majority of our picks have way outperformed their season's form. Despite only hitting one winner out of 5 player picks, again the day wasn't a complete disaster. With our 3.11 odds double coming through, we managed to limit our losses to just over 1% of our balance, taking us down to around 39% for the year so far. Now let's delve into the action-packed lineup for today. For our first game, we have the Hornets versus Wizards. The game total is quite even when looking at the stats. Obviously, as you can see, we are favoring the game to go over the line as it has a slight edge in all categories. With the spread, we would stay away from this one. Both teams have shocking recent form, covering in none of their last 5. The Hornets slightly have a better-looking season and head-to-head record, yet it a big enough edge for a bet. We would, however, prefer the under-team total for the Hornets mainly because of the 80% coverage in their last 5 games. For the other 2 categories, it's almost even. With the Wizards team total, the stats are again almost even, only a little better for the over market. Again, with recent form from both teams, this matchup could go either way. For our first player pick, we chose Brandon Miller to stay under 23.5 points and assists. His season coverage is a huge 74%, his last 5 sits at an 80% cover rate, while in matchups he has stayed under in all 3 games. We also went for Nick Richards to stay under 10.5 rebounds and assists, managing this in just shy of 70% of his season, and having a 100% cover rate in both matchups and head-to-heads. We see this as our best pick for today. Now, for the Pelicans and Sixers match. The game total is clearly favorable to go over in this game, especially when you see the 80% coverage in head-to-heads. This could be one for our parlay. On to the spread. Looking at the stats, we would suggest favoring the Sixers +8 with this one. They have a better record in matchups, latest form, and a huge 72% coverage in the season. For the Pelicans team total, it's looking too even for a bet in my opinion. If anything, I would favor the under, as it has a better record in matchups and recent form. For the Sixers, the only thing to consider is over their team total. I mean, just take a look at them stats. 100% in matchups, 80% off of recent form, and a solid 76% season cover rate. It's a no-brainer with this one. For our player pick, we are taking CJ McCollum to go over 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. For me, it's a pick worth taking, although I'm certainly not as confident with this one as some of the others. His last 5 has only hit in 40% of games, while his season cover rate sits at 65%. He has gone over our line in all 3 matchups. Now for the Wolves and Cavaliers game. We suggest the over game total for this one. Again, just take a look at the stats. 82% season coverage, 80% in last 5, and 100% in head-to-head. This will definitely be added to our parlay. For the spread, again, the stats couldn't be any further apart. The Wolves look solid in all our categories, while the Cavaliers are looking weak in matchups and recent form. Same goes for the Wolves to go over their team total. This is another we may add to our parlay. Their season is at nearly a 90% hit rate, their last 5 sits at 80%, and for matchups, they have gone over in every single one. We would also highly favor the Cavaliers to hit over their team total. Again, the stats for the over is way ahead of the under. Knowing both team preference is over, this also helps when looking at game total over. Let's dive into the matchup between Magic and the Knicks. Again, looking at stats, we do prefer the over game total. As you can see, it's a lot closer than our previous game, but all our categories are in favor of the over. For the spread, Magic stats are looking the stronger of the 2, hitting in all of their last 5 games. It also has a 60% cover rate for both season and head-to-heads. For Magic's game total, the season and recent 4 are looking solid for the over market. Yet in their matchups is even with both having 50% cover rate. The Knicks also seem to prefer going over their team total, but it's still quite close on matchups and latest form. For the season though, the Knicks have gone over in a huge 80% of the games. We went for Isaiah Hartenstein to stay under 7.5 points. It's a low number that can easily be hit in a single quarter. Yet look at his stats to stay under. 64% for the season, 80% in his last 5 games, and of course 100% in all his 7 matchups. The stats are perfect for a bet, but because of the low number, it does worry us a little. Now onto the Hawks and Grizzlies game. It's another over game total that look very appealing, maybe one to add to a parlay later on. Sure, their recent form is at a 50-50 chance, but the head-to-head have gone over every single time. While the season has also gone over in 74% of games, looking at the spread to me it seemed to be an even chance for both teams. We suggest staying clear of it altogether. We do however like the Hawks to hit over their team total. Again, the stats do all the talking. Covering in 80% of matchups, 60% of their last 5 games, and 84% for the season. For the Grizzlies, it would be even if not for their recent form, staying under in 80% of their last 5 matches. We went for Santi Aldama to stay under 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists, hitting 74% of his season's games, 60% in his last 5 and 75% in matchups. We also went for Jaren Jackson to stay under 33.5 P plus A. His 100% in matchups and 73% in his season make this one worthy for me. Now for the Heat and Thunder game. We are staying clear of the game total for this one as we again see it as an even line, not worth the risk. Heat for the spread, however, is definitely one to consider. I mean 100% cover rate for both recent games and matchups, also a 80% season coverage. I mean, what's not to like? We don't mind Heat to go over their team total either. The stats are not as strong as the spread line, but it's a lot stronger than their under-team total. For the Thunder, it's the opposite way around. The stats favor them to stay under their line, yet it's not something we are considering. Now for the Rockets and Blazers game, again we are staying clear of the game total, even though it does slightly favor going over the line provided, especially in matchups in the season. We also are not too keen on betting any spread lines with this game, but if I was to favor any, it would have to be the Blazers. As you can see, they are slightly better going off the stats. I'm not keen on this game for team bets to be fair, and as you can see for the Rockets to go over their team total, it has a slight advantage when compared against the undermarket. You could consider taking the Blazer over team total as it's looking strong from the stats, especially with their 80% cover rate from recent games. This may be one to look at the alternative markets. This player pick is a little different for me. I'm taking Alperen Sengun to have under 2.5 turnover. His matchups are nearly at a 90% cover rate. His season is at 51% while he has only stayed under in 40% of his last 5. Our last game is between Bucks and Lakers. For the game total, it's looking way too even for me to consider a bet. The under has hit 70% of their recent games, but that alone isn't enough for me. The spread is favoring the Bucks, hitting in 80% of their last 5 games and 76% of the 2S head-to-heads. We suggest staying clear of the Bucks team total. Sure, the over has a slight edge going off of the season, but in matchups is a straight 50-50. However, for the latest form, they have stayed under this line 80% of the time. For the Lakers team total, it's not something I'm considering, but the over is looking the strongest in my eyes. It's just not worth the risk in my opinion. That's it for today, folks. Remember, sports betting is risky. If you manage your bankroll properly and stick to a strategy even when you're on a losing streak, you will be profitable in the long run. Stay safe, and good luck with your bets.